we've already seen how do we prepare our body, what is the goal, what should be our purpose for the fasting and everything. And we have learned a cop test, that is check yourself, check your prakruti, check your agni, check your sam and niramta based on your agni status, and then observe yourself, whatever changes you have made, you've started implementing. Observe what effects it is having in your body. Many of you have mentioned that on the chat box, that there some of them were feeling very hungry, others were like I'm feeling good and better, all those things. So you have to observe yourself, and then we had to prepare our body to start for the fasting. What we did last week was, we just asked you I just asked you to reduce one fourth portion of your food and limit your timing. Like last meal should be before 8 p.m. So many of them have already started doing this. So this week what we'll do is, we'll learn how to go a step ahead. So that was the basic preparation of the body. And now we'll go, like, learn how we'll start with the fasting. So now there are various kinds of fasting, various types of fasting, which is prevailing in the society. Now it is up to us and up to our health and our stamina, our work schedule. Whichever fasting suits you, you can select it. So as it is, as we all know that fasting is not new to the world. It has been going on since ages in this community. So initially it was associated with religious beliefs. So if it is 7 month, then you have to fast for certain days, or you select 2 days in a week to fast, all these things. But since they were attached to religious beliefs, people used to follow it blindly in the for the faith. But now same things are, like, same structure of fasting, types of fasting are explained with logical things and science, scientific reasoning and everything. And so it makes us more easier to follow a certain type of fast according to our health status or the purpose of our fasting. Now if you see in, like, initially during monsoons, many of us fast ek bukta, that is they'll have only one meal. The rest of the time they'll have something very small, easily digestible thing, or which is easy to digest. It may be fruits, milk, or anything. So these were like, and there are long fasting days such as Navratri, where again people fast for complete 9 days. In Ramzan, people don't have food throughout the day from dawn to sunset, and then they'll have something for the rest of the day. So these are the various types of religious fasting. Now coming to the scientific fasting, like, if you say that those were also the scientific fasting, but nobody explained the science behind it. Now we are just organizing these type of fasting, which is currently prevalent in the society. So what would we do is, we'll divide these type of fasting into two types. One would be moderate fasting, and the other is strict fasting. Last week, we were the beginners, or it was the mild fasting, or just to add a discipline to our body. Now, in this moderate fasting, we'll learn about time restricted eating and circadian cycle fasting. And the other strict fasting, we'll go about it in the next week, because we don't want to spend our time lot of in the theoretical parts. So what is time restricted eating? It is that, like, if you divide your day, then you divide it into two parts. For a certain time you will only fast, and the rest of the time you can eat. So usually we keep on doing it on a regular basis. If you all see, we naturally have been following this since like time since we were born. Like 8 to 12 hours fasting is very common, because we sleep at that time and we can't eat anything. And the early morning we just break that fast, and so it is known as breakfast. What we have as breakfast in the morning is that we are breaking the fast which we had continued overnight. So that is very common. So now again, if we see that in time restricted fasting, the, sorry, there's a spelling mistake. It is written easting. It is fasting. There are two types, like four types: 16 is to 8, 14 is to 10, 12 is to 12, 20 is to 4, and so on. So here, what we do in 16 is to 8 or 14 is to 10, 16 hours we fast, and the rest 8 hours we eat something. Again, 14 is to 10 may we eat for like we fast for 14 hours and rest 10 hours we can eat. Now, what people generally misunderstand with this is in the eating window, they generally eat anything they want. Right from the junk food, they'll eat pizza, they'll eat pasta, they'll eat chips, they'll have a lot of fat loaded burgers or anything. They'll have whatever they want. But that should not be the case. Otherwise, what discipline or what the concept that we are resetting our gut, we won't achieve that. So, in this 8 hours eating window or 10 hours eating window, also you have to follow certain discipline. Only then you can get the better outcomes. Or there is a concept that somebody, like many of them, they'll have something every 1 or 2 hours. Now this will depend on the prakriti. Last week we have already learned about what is prakriti and how can we find our own body constitution. So it depends on, so if you are a pitta type of body, you may feel frequently hungry. In that case, if you are pitta type body, or if your metabolism is really good, you can have something in 2 to 3 hours. But ideally, what Ayurveda says is that you should not have anything within next 3 hours. After you have your meal, next 3 hours you shouldn't have anything. Only then you will be able to digest whatever food you have eaten properly. So coming back to 16 is to 8. In this type of fasting, what we do is we with like 16 hours we fast and the rest of 8 hours we can eat. So usually many of the common type, like, and this is very popular type of fasting, 16 is to 8. Here what you do, you can select a window of eating. So it can be 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Now, considering your time work schedules, like I think 1 or 2 people have on the WhatsApp group had mentioned that it is difficult for them to have meals by 8 p.m. So in that case, they can alter it 12:30 to 8:30, 1 to 9. But I would rather suggest stick to have your last meal or dinner before 8. That is more ideal, considering your biological clock and considering your health as per Ayurveda. So otherwise, you can modify these timings, but the window should be 8 p.m. And again, as I mentioned, you should not eat continuously or anything, whatever you like, but you should follow a proper routine what you can eat. I'll be sharing a rough timetable what you can eat. The other things you can modify. Now, as we mentioned, as everybody know, not all type of fasting can suit everyone. We have to consider what is my work schedule, what is my strength, like stamina, what are my energy levels, then what body type do I have, or samata and niramta. All these things, that is armor or toxins, all these you have to consider. And again, the health status. Now, who all can follow, or what, how can this 16 is to 8 benefit? So patients or individuals you can say, not necessarily they should be patients. If you have you are overweight, or in type 2 diabetes, where the sugar levels don't come down, and mostly the sugar levels don't come down because your body is not able to metabolize that excess sugar in your blood. So in that case, just to digest or absorb and utilize that sugar in a proper way, in type 2 diabetes, you can follow this schedule. But only remember that if you are on insulin, or if you have to take a certain medicine, and then you should you should be aware of it, and you should have something at that time. So accordingly, you can adjust your tablets, or not tablets, adjust your eating time. Then if but again there is complaint like hypertension, high lipid levels, or cholesterol levels, this type of fasting can help you. In patients like obese PCOD, now there are two types of individuals in PCOD: lean PCOD and obese PCOD. Now if an individual is into like a lot of sedentary work, or is not at all into exercise, or lack of activity, and the lady is obese type of body, then, and has PCOD problem, then she should surely follow 16 is to 8 or 14 is to 10 kind of intermittent fasting, because that helps you to absorb or digest the arm in your body, and also remove the blocks in your uterine system or in your reproductive system. Again, kapha type of prakriti can tolerate 16 hours of fasting. Whereas if the individual is Pitta Prakriti, he or she may not be able to tolerate fasting for long hours. In that case, she or he can opt for 14 is to 10 or 12 is to 12 fasting. That I'll be explaining you later. And as I mentioned, excess arm patient. And who should avoid is again Pitta Prakriti if you are underweight. And if you feel like, I think somebody has asked if the patient is emaciated and is not very hungry, then is it okay to fast? No, because at that time the bala or energy levels in the body are very low. At that time, if you fast, you may end up having fatigue or weakness or vertigo. So it is if you are very underweight, you shouldn't fast. Instead, you can have some medicines or any other program which will improve your agni level, and then you can slowly and gradually increase your food quantity. Then patients with Vata Prakriti or Pitta Prakriti, what happens is if Pitta Prakriti patients, they don't eat on time if they are hungry, then they end up having acidity. And Vata Prakriti patients, they'll have bloating. So in that case, if you have such kind of problems, it is better you don't fast for 16 hours, but you can go for 14 or 10 hours for fasting. Then again, I mentioned of metabolic rate and medication. Then beginners, it is always better that beginners don't follow 16 is to 8, because if you are not able to control your hunger or you're not able to eat something and you're really feeling drained out, then that won't help. So it can affect your mental status, like you might feel irritated, agitated, or drained out, or you can also have headache or acidity issues. So beginners shouldn't go for, I won't suggest beginners to go for 16 days to it. What they can opt is for, they can opt for 10 14 is to 10. Now, as I mentioned, we'll have a base plan. This is a very roughly sketched plan. This plan can change with individuals. But what you can do, consider that if you are like when you have fast for 16 hours and you can eat for in a 8-hour window. Then, for example, if any one of you wakes up at 7 a.m. and your eating window is 11 to 7, or you can say 12 to 8, whatever. Right now here I've considered 11 to 7. In that case, you can start your day whenever you wake up, and you, like many of us naturally have a habit to have something, or you shouldn't feel dehydrated or to just feel energetic. Many of them are used to have herbal teas or regular tea or a cup of coffee. So whatever it is, from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., you can start the day with a herbal tea or a glass of warm water. You can also resort to honey water with mixed with honey. But whenever you are having honey with water, make sure the water is not hot or warm. You can preheat the water, cool it down, and then add honey if you want. But no, you should never have honey with hot things. So you can start the day with herbal tea or glass of water. Then between 7 to 11 a.m., that is before your eating window, in your fasting period, if at all you feel an urge to drink water or have something just to boost up your energy, then you can go for herbal tea, you can go for black tea with ginger or lemongrass or any cardamom, anything. Or you can go for black coffee. Black coffee, only because I have written, should not be followed by everyone. If you can tolerate black coffee without sugar, only then you should take it. Because many times people may feel bloated or have constipation due to black coffee. In that case, you should know your body and then only take certain things. I've also mentioned types of medicated water, which I'll be sharing in the last slide. Then during the 11 like eating window, that is 11 to 7 p.m., 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., as I mentioned, you should not be continuously eating or eating whatever you feel. The first rule for any kind of fasting or anything is you should eat only when you are hungry. Drink anything, water, juice, anything, only when you are thirsty or you feel like. Okay, so this is the basic thumb rule. So 11 a.m., if you are having your brunch or if you are having your lunch, here you can only go for 2 meals. So it would be lunch and dinner. So if you are having your lunch, it should be balanced. It should have healthy fats like ghee, fresh unsalted butter, like the one which is made at home, or made in a proper Bologna type method. So you can have that butter. You can have complex carbs like roti. You can have millets, bajra roti, jowar roti, or you can have even wheat chapati if it suits you. Then protein, any kind of protein, but in a small quantity. Make sure that if you're having protein, you need to exercise in some amount, because only protein if you're having, and if you're not exercising, then you are not able to digest that protein, and ultimately it gets converted into fats. So when you're having proteins, you should have it in either small quantity which you can digest, or you should follow the exercise on a daily basis. So proteins can be any kind of nuts, it can be dal, lentils, then it can be soup, meat soup, anything, any protein that suits you. Then if at all you feel like eating, or you feel low and you want to feel energetic, at 3 to 4 p.m you can either have coconut water, you can have lemon juice, limbu sharbat as you say, or any kind of small like glass of sharbats, or um, you know medicated water, or laja siddha jal is, I'll explain you later. Then you can also have honey water if you want, or you can resort to small fruit, any kind of fruit which is seasonal, which is easy, like you feel is available. That list also I'll be sharing you. Nuts, again, nuts and dry fruits whenever you're having, it depends on the prakriti or your condition. If you have acidity, problems like acidity, you should have nuts in very small quantity. Dry fruits, yes, you can have like figs or black raisins, that can help you. So you can have something like this, or you can also have a small snack like khakra, or chikki, like or you can say whatever is available, a small snack which would not be filling, but just to add to your hunger. Then the last meal should be by 7 p.m. Before 7 p.m. Again, here depending on upon your hunger, you can have a whole diet, balanced meal, or you can have something as a soup, salads, or a small dosa made of out of millets, or whenever you're having sprouts, make sure it is not very long, the sprouts are not too long. It is that you just soak it on the previous day and it is just sprouted, or and make sure that you've cooked the sprouts. Another important things when you are having sprouts, it is it should be you should have ghee along with sprouts, because sprouts are heavy to digest and they can add to bloating or constipation. So whenever you have sprouts, make sure you cook them well, and then add a pinch of black pepper or hing, or that is asafoetida, or rock salt, and a dollop of ghee or butter. Then again from 7 to 10 p.m. you'll be fasting. That is, again, here you can have non-caloric drinks. You can have black tea, you can have medicated water, you can have Laja Siddha Jal. Laja Siddha Jal is, again, that is a puffed rice. You have to boil the water properly. And once the water is boiled properly, just put off the gas stove, and then add a fistful of Laja, that is puffed rice. um, like it is just like kurmura. It is a puffed rice. I'll share this name, then you can search it on Google, and then you can put it in the water and just stir it. You can have that water. It is like, and it also gives you energy and it will help you. And last thing, you should try and go to sleep by 10 p.m. Only then if you have proper or enough sleep from 11, like 10 to 7, 10 to 6 or 10 to 7, then you can get the complete benefits of the fasting. Okay. Then moving ahead with the restricted eating pattern, that is 14 is to 10. Here again the concept is same. You have to fast for 14 hours, and then eat. You can eat between a 10-hour window. What is like only thing is this can be more easy because you have to fast for a lesser time. So it would be easy to follow for the beginners. And also Vata and Pitta Prakriti patient individuals can follow this. The benefits and everything remains the same, only with the what do you say, only with the eating pattern you can add an extra meal over here. So that could be a breakfast. So if you are Vata Prakriti, if you cannot hold your hunger, or you have certain health conditions wherein you need to take medications like blood pressure or diabetic, anybody is diabetic, and has some issues like if you have to take a thyroid tablet and you need something to eat, if you have acidity problems, then you can have add a breakfast at 10 a.m. So again, you can start the day with a medicated water or herbal tea, whatever it is. From 10 to 8 is your eating window. So here you can also make it 11 to 9. That is also fine. So you can do like adjust your timings. But again, as I mentioned earlier, it is more preferable that you finish your last meal by 8 p.m. So according to Ayurveda, that fits into your biological doshic clock. So you can as well benefit yourself with an extra, health. So again, here you can have a start your eating window at 10 and have your breakfast. Here you can have anything in your breakfast, any small portion. Make sure you don't have a heavy breakfast because you will be again having lunch by 1 p.m. Something which will give you a support. Or you can do it vice versa. You can have a heavy breakfast and have a small meal, not a heavy meal. So here you can have milk, eggs, millet dosa, whatever you want. You can have a dosa made of moong dal or whole moong. You can soak the moong and do it. You can have ragi dosa, or again any salads, but make sure you don't have a lot of salads, or if you are having salads, just blanch them so it won't affect your digestion. Okay. Then again, lunch as usual, as I mentioned, 3 to 4 p.m. If at all you feel hungry, if at all you feel drained out and feel like eating, not the craving, but if you feel hungry, only then you can have puffed rice or nuts, some dry fruits or a small fruit, whatever. Or if not anything, you can have a cup of milk. A2 milk, cow milk is always healthy. You can like I recommend some of my patients to go on milk diet at times if it is really needed. If for a particular conditions like renal problems or cancer patients, or even if they have to lose on their excess weight, at times people go on milk diet, and that is enough. So you can have a constitute all of this with milk at 3 to 4 p.m. A glass of milk will be fine. Then again 7 to 8 p.m. you can have your last meal. Your traditional meal, whatever, depending upon what, where do you the place you stay, or your traditional things, whatever you've been brought up while having, you can have that meal properly. You need not add something like you have to have one kiwi or one avocado, nothing. It is up to you. If you like it, if you can digest it, and if it is available, you can have. I won't stress on any particular food item that you have to have this. I'll say whatever is like, because your body is made up of whatever you have eaten, not since not since your birth, but what your genes carry, what your forefathers have eaten, because that is what your genes carry in your genes have in it. Sorry, that is what your genes carry and help you to digest your food. So traditional food is one of the best food what you can digest, or any food which you have been accustomed to, you can start with that. Again, here I've mentioned you have to go to bed by 10. I know it is not possible for everyone to go to bed by 10 p.m., but you can at least bring your sleeping times earlier. Again, as I mentioned, for benefits are same. Cardiovascular disease, risk for cardiovascular disease reduces. Blood pressure issues, they get lowered down. Then insulin resistance again slow down. It slows down the aging. Obviously, it won't happen that all the wrinkles go off or you feel you start looking young, but surely you start feeling young because your energy levels go high. Now, if you follow any kind of fasting in this week, let me know what changes you have observed. Because whatever in my practice, when I ask the patients to do it, the feedback is in first 2 days only they start feeling energetic despite having less food. Because the thing happens is they're having the food they require and not what they want to eat. It is what your body needs. So people naturally starts feeling energetic, and that also leads to autophagy of the unwanted cells, and that helps your body level, body healing. And so it is good to prevent cancer or weight loss and everything. So now the things are the same, only the window changes. Eating window and fasting window changes. So 12 is to 12 and 20 is to 4 fasting. There are these other time restricted eating or fasting. So in 12 is to 12, what people do is they fast for 12 hours and eat for 12 hours. Again, the concept is same. Most of us naturally do this, but make sure you're not having more than 3 meals in a day, because otherwise it doesn't mean fasting. but it is just like hogging everything. So again, this is good for beginners, for young, I won't say for young, but older people can surely follow this, because when you are young, you really need to eat anything and you are able to digest. But in the older age group, where people are not able to eat like, large portions, and their digestion is also weak due to the age and everything, they can follow 12 is to 12, where they can have small foods in small short intervals, small portions of food in short intervals, and feel energetic. Whereas 20 is to 4 fasting, I won't suggest anybody of you to follow this right now if you are not into fasting since long time, because this can result in acidity, bloating issues, or headache, irritability. It can like only kapha prakriti individuals or people who are already into fasting since long time can go for this, because here you have to fast for 20 hours, and here you can have only one meal in a day. Like you can have a meal at around 4 p.m., like 3 to 4 p.m. should be your last meal and the only meal where you can have everything. But again, when I say you can have everything, doesn't mean you can add junks to your food. Sometimes if you feel like, you can have a small bite of junk just to um, pass set it to your tongue. But I won't suggest it as of now. But 12, having only one meal can be difficult for many of you, but I just introduced it over here. Then comes the Circadian style fasting. So this is again a moderate level of fasting. Circadian style is again here. If I'll explain the Circadian cycle first, like many of you have also asked me to explain Circadian cycle. So Circadian cycle is a biological clock basically. So according to Ayurveda, this is the right thing. Your Ayurveda suggests, or your Circadian cycle goes according to sun. It's the cycle starts from the sunrise to the sunset. So you have to start your day right from the sunrise and end your all the activities by the sunset. So according to Ayurveda, this as all of you know by now, that there are three dosha in our body: Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Your body is made up of all these three doshas only. So each of this dosh is dominant during a certain period of the time in a day, or also in season, also throughout your lifetime. But as of now, we'll consider only the day. So if you begin your day at 6, your 6 to 10 a.m., it is kapha dominant. Now, kapha is bulky in nature, it is cold in nature, it gives you energy again. But if it is in vitiated form, it can cause lethargicness, fatigueness, or not exactly fatigue, but you can feel lazy, you can have feel your body is very heavy, or you don't feel energetic. So 6 to 8 10 a.m., it is the time where you have to include certain activities which would reduce this cough and bring it to the normal level. It is important, it has to be in normal level, not go subnormal. So you have to just reduce the levels to the normal. So what you can do is, you can prepare for the day, you can eliminate your waste, like attend your nature calls, you can exercise. It is the ideal time to exercise, or you can have a cup of warm water during this time. And also there are some Ayurvedic practices which you can follow at this time. Then 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., it is a pitta dominant period. So in pitta is responsible for your intelligence, for your energy levels, for your digestion, for your think like ideation thing. So you can it gives you energy to bring your thoughts or ideas into action. So between 10 to 2 p.m., it is important that you organize your things, start working, and also have your meal between 10 to 2 p.m. Ideal time for meals is, you can have it at 12 p.m. 12 p.m. is the right time, or any time between 10 to 2. If you're having brunch, you can have it at 10:30 or 11, and not before 2, not late after 2. Avoid having meals after 1:30, because otherwise your whatever you eat won't be digested well, won't be metabolized well. So 10 to 2 is the right time for having meals. Then 2 to 6 p.m. is the vata dominant period, wherein vata dosh is responsible for all your activities. You're moving your hand, you're bending your neck, you're talking, all this is governed by vata dosh. So you have to, again, if the vata is dominant in this period, 2 to 6 p.m., you have to just normalize it. So then what you can do is you can relax. You can analyze things whatever you have done throughout the day. You can socialize, relax your brain, relax your body. And I have seen many of the patients in my practice that people exercise after between 2 to 6 p.m., or they'll exercise at the evening times after 6, between 6 to 8, 7, 9 p.m. What happens is this is not the ideal time. What happens is it can further reduce your kapha dosh and increase vata dosh, and this can affect your sleep cycle. So 2 to 6 p.m. is vata dosh dominant period, where you have to follow relaxation. Then again, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. is kapha dominant. Now, again, whatever activities you have been doing throughout the day, you have to slow down and prepare for sleep. So then you can relax, have socialize with your family, discuss whatever you throughout the day, whatever you have done. Then by 8 p.m. you can have your meals, and then follow again 10 to 12 before 10. That is the reason you have to go back to sleep by 10 p.m. So 10 to 2 is the ideal time that pitta is dominant. Now, pitta, as I mentioned, it is responsible for metabolism. Metabolism in Ayurveda does not only mean physical metabolism or the food which you eat. Any conversion of your thoughts, any regeneration of your new cells, relaxation for your brain, all comes under this. So, 10 to 2 is the ideal time where you have deep sleep. You can relax your brain, you can relax your mind, and generate new cells. So, this is the time you should be in deep sleep. Again, then after 2 to 6 a.m., it is Vata dominant period, wherein at 4, it is the right time, like 4, after 4:30, you can wake up depending on what time you have slept, and then start your day by 6 a.m. So this is the circadian cycle. Now, what Ayurveda suggests that you have to follow these biological clock, because that helps you to attain normalcy of your doshas. And only when your dosh levels are normal, your dhatu can be healthy, and your mala or your waste can be eliminated properly from the body. And that is what body health is about. That your dosh, dhatu, mala, and agni is in their normal state. Okay, so in Circadian cycle, what we do is we can eat between any time between 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So what people generally mention is you have to have something within first 2 hours of the day after you wake up. So you have to have your first meal or breakfast by 9 a.m. if you're waking up at 7 p.m. Now, I don't suggest, or no, even the rules don't suggest that you start here. This the timing is not flexible. Like in 16 is to 8 or 14 is to 10. You can't say I'll follow circadian style fasting. I'll start my day at end and 8 and end at 8, or start my day at 9 and end at 9. No, this is not happening. You have to compulsorily start your day by 7 a.m. and have your last meal by 7 p.m. Okay, again, they've mentioned that you have to have something in first 2 hours of the day. That is by 9 a.m. But now it is up to you that if you have to have breakfast or you have to have some small portion of eating. Because as I've mentioned prior, and I keep on mentioning over and over again, you have to eat only if you feel hungry. Otherwise, just don't start eating because it is as per the rules of the fasting. So what you can do is, if you feel like having breakfast, you can have a small portion of breakfast, or you can have your brunch at that time. Otherwise, what you can do is you can just have a cup of milk, or you can have a small, or you can have fruit. Again, milk and fruit cannot be had together. Yeah, people say that I have cornflakes in like I have a bowl of milk and then add cornflakes and then add fruits to it. This is a wrong practice. This is viruddha ahar according to Ayurveda. Milk and fruits don't go together, and it harms you internally more than any benefits. Those those effects cannot be noticed immediately in a day or two, but over a long period of time. So you can either have a cup of milk or a fruit, um, or you can go for dry fruits or small laddu, anything. Or if not that, if you really feel hungry, you can go with a small portion of breakfast. Then again, you can have your lunch, and the dinner should be before 7 p.m. The another rule is no snacking in between two meals. Overall, in fasting, as I mentioned earlier, also, you should not snack in between two meals. Ayurveda advises that after any meal, you should give a gap of at least 3 hours before you eat anything. That helps you to correct your digestion, to facilitate your proper digestion, and then avoid excess carbs. Okay, so this is the basic Circadian style fasting. Now, what up to it is up to you. Now, what we'll be doing in this week is you have to select what kind of fasting is preferable for you. In general, I would suggest grossly if you're not into practice of fasting, and since you have just prepared last week, prepared your body in the last week, what you can do is you can go for 14 is to 10 or Circadian style fasting. If you still feel that no, I can't fast for 14 hours, then you can go for 12 is to 12 fasting. Whatever is, it is up to you which type of fasting you have to select, and start beginning it right from today. No matter you, I woke up at 7:30 and I didn't have my medicated water or black coffee, it is fine. Start whatever from the point wherever you are, because if you don't start today and if you keep on procrastinating, you might end up missing more 2 days. So start following it from today. And along with fasting, it is very important that you exercise for at least 30 minutes. Whatever exercise suits you, it can be minimum 30 minutes. It can be walking, it can be any other type of cardio, cycling, or gymming, anything, but minimum exercise. Another important thing is don't overexert yourself. Don't go into strenuous or vigorous exercise. I find people who say I work out for 1.5 hours or 2 hours a day, and then weight lifting and everything. But then if your intake, you've just begin with fasting, there are chances you may feel drained out or fatigued. So it is better that you don't overexert yourself. Another important thing is after every meal, you take a 10 minutes of leisure walk. No brisk walking after meals, because that again affects your digestion. No walking for 1 kilometers, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers post meals. That again affects your digestion. I'm telling this because I see patients who come to me and say, no, I don't get time to for exercise in the morning. So what I do is I go for a 4 hour walk, sorry, 4 to 5 kilometer walk after my dinner. That is a very wrong practice. That affects your sleep. Even if you can fall asleep easily, it won't be a sound sleep, and your body may not be able to regenerate or rejuvenate the cells. So 10-minute leisure walk is suggested. And whatever water you drink throughout the day, make sure if you're comfortable, you drink warm water. Then, as I mentioned, fasting for senses is something we have to follow as per Ayurveda. So again, I would say last time I asked you to minimize the use of your screen time and your headphones. So here, whenever you're speaking on your phone, now I do understand mobile have become an inseparable part in our lives. So if you have to speak on your phone, what you can do, you can use speaker mode. Instead of putting headphones, you can use speaker mode. Don't keep the phone glued to your ears. You can use speaker mode. You can talk only whatever is necessary. Like consciously make it a practice that you won't talk unnecessarily, or won't argue unnecessarily. Just relax and do the talking only when it is needed. Then if you are working on screen, adjust the brightness of the screen, adjust brightness of your mobile screen, of your Kindle, of your tabs, everything. It shouldn't be very bright, neither it should be very dull. It should be moderate. Then after every 1.5 hours or 2 hours, you should take a break of 10 minutes. What you can do is you can splash your eyes with tap water, so that will soothe your eyes. Then again, as I said, limit like if you're already working on the screen, like everybody of us is into screen these days, then limit your mobile usage. I would say only 3 hours. I mentioned it 4 hours, considering people have some or the other work on mobile. If they are not on the screen, they'll scroll down the mobile for the emails. Avoid unnecessary Instagramming or social media, anything. So this could be the fasting for senses. Now, coming to medicated water, which you can have. So, I've generally categorized this as if you are a what type of body, then you can add a half inch of dry ginger, cumin seeds, and carom seeds to your water and boil it. And then you can cool it down, make it warm, and then have it throughout the day. Only with the boiled water, the thing is that you cannot have it on the next day. You just have to finish it in that day. Otherwise, discard the excess of water. For pitta type of water, you can add coriander seeds, cardamom, and black raisins. For kapha type, you can have half inch of dry ginger, cinnamon, and basil leaves. So this will help normalize your dosh. I'll ask Shivani to share this slide as well. Then fruits. You can have fruits which suits you, but these are the common fruits that you can include in your diet or include in your during your fasting. One more thing is I would suggest not to have fruit juices, because imagine if you're having, if you have to make a glass full of juice, what you end up having is you put 2 to 3 fruits to make that complete glass of fruit juice. But if you are having whole fruit, one whole fruit is enough. That fills your stomach. So, and you have to eat whole fruits. Eating one fruit is fine. Don't have fruit juices. And intake of nuts, as I mentioned, it should depend on the prakriti. So if you are pitta type of prakriti, cashews, walnuts, pistachios are not meant for you. You have to soak them and have a small portion of them if you want to have. Dates, figs, black raisins, apricots go well for pitta type of body, and even like for vata type of body. Dates, figs, black raisins are good for constipation issues as well. So you can select any of these fruits and dry fruits. Then food ingredients that you should go for and avoid. So dairy products, I'm not against dairy products. What you can have is milk, buttermilk. Sorry, what you can have is milk, buttermilk, ghee. You can have. So it is my mistake. I wrote khoya into this list. Khoya should be avoided. Cheese, paneer, tofu, any kind of milkshakes made with fruit, curd, yogurt, or khoya should be avoided. Whereas you can have milk, butter, or ghee. So again, in any type of intermittent fasting where you want to have medicated water or juice, coconut water, you can also have buttermilk along with at that time. Okay, jaggery or rock sugar is fine if you crave for some sweets. You don't have to discard sweets completely from your diet. When you're fasting doesn't mean cut off sweets. Sweets is something you also need for your body, but the sweet does not always mean sugar. So sweet can be rock sugar, it can be jaggery, it can be ghee, anything. Again, veggies, you can have all kinds of veggies. You can include millets, you can include lentils, pulses, freshly cooked or boiled vegetables. uh, Cooking methods can be boiled, steamed, roasted. You have to avoid fried, packaged, or processed food. Again, as I mentioned, sprouts, if you're having, make sure they're well cooked. You sprinkle some black pepper, ajwain, or asafoetida on it, or cumin powder on it, so it will aid your digestion. And cook it well. Potato and yams are not vegetables. They are heavy to digest carbs, and so that should be avoided. Or if you want to have it someday, you can have it in small portion. So this is all about. Now the main thing is, or the take home message is, whatever fasting suits you or whichever is convenient for you and which you can follow for long term is the best fasting method for you. So now it is, for this week, it is your job to identify what kind of fasting is suitable for my body. I would recommend you start with 12:2 or 14:10 fasting. Gradually, in next week, you can end up having 16:8 fasting or any other fasting methods that we'll be discussing next week. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your patience listening.